Time now for our media moments where we check in on the day's bias, buzz, and bull in the world of cable news and beyond. Yesterday morning, the Washington Post and CBS News broke what initially seemed to be a bombshell report that over 7 hours of White House phone logs from the Trump administration were missing from January 6th. Bob Woodward and Robert Costa got their hands on the phone logs from the House Select Committee, which was reported on CBS this morning.
Breaking news on the investigation into the January 6th assault on the Capitol. CBS News and the Washington Post have obtained White House records of President Trump's activities that day, and they reveal a nearly 8-hour gap in entries in his call log and his daily diary.
The media went big, and there was more speculation added to the story.
This gap raises big questions about what the president was doing at the time and whether he was using a so-called burner phone, maybe a couple of them. Those are disposable and untraceable.
And, of course, the possibility of burner phones was media catnip.
Questions of whether Donald Trump used burner phones to hide conversations he had.
Wouldn't using a burner phone signify intent?
Can the committee subpoena something like burner phone records? Do things like that exist?
Burner phones are disposable phones that on TV shows are often used by drug dealers and terrorists. Former President Trump and his surrogates were using disposable phones on January 6th, and that would be a problem. But then, after all the speculation, a number of reporters went and actually did some reporting on it and checked tweets then President Trump sent at that time. You can see on this image of a tweet sent by Trump during the January 6th riots that it's clearly marked sent from iPhone. And as fast as you can ditch a burner phone, that angle started to fade and suddenly even seem far-fetched. Here's NBC's Garrett Hake.
I think the possibility of a burner phone here is relatively low. Anybody who was around Trump or who covered Trump knew he would sort of grab the phones of aides, grabs the phone of somebody else he was in the conversation with, incoming and outgoing calls kind of all flowed through him.
But at least the report of the missing phone logs was a bombshell, even if the burners were far-fetched, right? Well, not exactly, because it turns out it wasn't even really new. Here's CNN's John King reporting on February 10th, more than a month earlier.
Some new and important breaking news today, reporting on the January 6th committee investigation. Multiple sources now tell CNN there are hours-long gaps in presidential records turned over to the panel. Sources say the White House call logs, phone call logs from Insurrection Day are blank from the time the president returned from his speech on the ellipse until he gave a Rose Garden speech hours later.
That's basically what the Washington Post and then everyone else reported as a huge bombshell yesterday morning. Yes, they got their hands on the actual logs and added this speculative burner phone suggestion, but it turns out it wasn't the sort of bombshell that many made it out to be. Look, I covered the story on my radio show yesterday. I got fooled by some of the media hysteria, and I consider it a good lesson for all of the media, but one that I presume, sadly, many will not learn from. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.